really important that we begin to change the mindset of young people to know that your vote counts.
They don't understand that the legislative arm of government is actually a co-equal arm of government.
We have an incredible amount of potential.
Whatever it is I was doing, because of my personal DNA, it had to be of an international standard. Which is what, seriously speaking, is all about.
Yes, welcome. We're still talking about Nigeria. Yes, it's independence. It's our Independence Month, and we are concerned for the country. And we're talking about institutions last week. This week, the concern is about where's Nigeria today at 57? Where's Nigeria going? What was the past like? And I have somebody I would choose to describe as a concerned citizen, but a true Nigerian, considering the fact that he has names for different parts of Nigeria. And, well, some of you may recognize him because in recent times, some of his writings have gone viral on social media. But one key thing for me is the fact that he's somebody that loves and knows and believes in history and the role it can play in helping to right our country as we move forward. So if you don't go away, we'll be back in a short while with my guest today, whose name you will find out when you return. Yes, welcome back. It was something that was shared at a speech, from a speech that this, young man gave, professor of law, at an activity that was organized by what they call the Torchline Program. And reading through that and finding out that Nigeria really, really has a lot of intelligent young people who have the knowledge that will change the country. Thank God for technology. It's my guest today is Professor Christopher Chukwudumebi Mustapha Nwokobia. Did I get it all right?
Junior, you got it all right.
Okay, but the junior part was, where did you get the junior from? You're not the first son.
My dad was the senior.
Yes, but why did he give you, because you're not the first son? Yes.
Yeah, I think it was providential. I think my dad was a bit prophetic because I lost my other brother early in life.
Wow.
And so I became the first son, as it were. I stepped into his shoes in almost all respect because my dad was passionately concerned about the good society, the beloved society.
How did you describe? He's one of those civil servants who believe that Nigeria
is an awesome country and will be the greatest in Africa. My dad was not only concerned about Africa, he was concerned about the black race, and then he believed that God created Nigeria not only to show the way for the black man and indeed Africa, but to show how awesome brothers can actually live together, whether they be Christians, Muslims, Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas, whatever. My dad believed that this is a theater where God wanted to show humankind that we all belong together.
Really?
Yes.
Did he ever make you understand why he thought that way? Because I know he's schooled in the US. He did sociology and anthropology and was a civil servant. He's from Delta State.
That's right.
But you grew up in Sapele?
Yes, I did.
Okay, although you are from Ibuzo.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How
did he end up thinking like that? Is it that that's what our fathers in the past thought like, and what caused the change?
My dad taught me that all humans, and I think he took that from, maybe they were about the same generation, the black preacher from Atlanta, Georgia, Martin Luther King Jr., who is my mentor, who said that all men are tied together by a single network of mutuality, held together by a single gap of oneness. What affects one directly affects the other indirectly. So my dad kept telling me whilst I was growing up that if you were to need blood and you're in the emergency hall, if a black man that is O positive comes in and you're O negative, if there is any such thing, and then a white man who's O negative comes in, he will feed you with blood. The black man won't feed you with blood, you know.
That's if you're a black man.
So he just, not because you're not, the color doesn't matter, the life is what matters. And I decided to dig in and perhaps understand why God created them that way. You know, and fundamentally, God created the universe in twos, male, female, anion, cation, you know. And that's what white and black epitomizes. God is a being of love and a being of reason. And essentially, historicity proves that the white is perhaps the being of reason and the black man the being of love. And if you dig in deeper, yes, that's why if you were to live in the US, you find out that you may just walk a whole street and a father lives maybe on house number 1, the son house number 4. If they're whites, the boy may just not see his father all year. But if they're blacks, they eat lunch perhaps every Sunday. They eat dinner perhaps every Saturday. It's the nature of God made manifest in white and black.
In different ways.
That's right. And this is the greatest nation under heaven. And I'm passionately saying that without fear of querulous critics, without fear of equivocation, without any ounce of equivocation. And I'll tell you why. This is the only country in the world where you have Christians and Muslims almost at the same number equilibrium. This is the only country in the world where you have what some who are close to metaphysics and cosmic theology will tell you that this is a country where you have a super cord of 3. The Bible says the cord of 2 is strong, the cord of 3 who can break. Now, if you were to look at our map, you actually see the confluence, creating Nigeria as a triangle, the north, the old eastern region, and the west. Now, on that, you have 3 major tribes or ethnic stock, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the Hausas. Then you go further, you find out that beyond that, you have religiously Christianity, Islam, and traditional worship. And this super cord of 3, go through history this way, you find out that there is nowhere in the world where a cord of 3 has broken up.
No, tell me, you know, our national anthem goes by, there's one line there that says, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. Could our heroes past be responsible for the kind of confusion that we have? People are even calling for a break or some kind of restructuring in Nigeria.
Let me say this. It is not a coincidence that we're talking on the month of our independence. It is not. Now, who were our heroes? They were young men exposed to Western education, exposed to all kinds of challenge, and then they were active when the world was talking about breaking the walls of colonialism. And they struggled together, they worked together, they had their differences, but they met, and in 1952-53, they came out with their first working constitution, which allowed for the regions to grow at their pace. And then
And these heroes you're talking about, you'll be talking about Sardauna.
I'm talking about Sardauna, I'm talking about Obafemi Awolowo, I'm talking about Zik of Africa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and I'm talking about the young other elements who were with them, the likes of, Chief Antonio Anahoro, the Adegoka Adelabus of this world, and they had quite a lot. And then you had Tafawa Balewa, just with Sardauna, a whole lot of them. And they were passionate young people who believed that the time to make the largest country in Africa independent was then. And my dad told me that the morning when the Union Jack was lowered, that the hopes and expectations were monstrous, that Nigerians celebrated, and indeed Africa, and that all over the world there was hysteria, there was excitement, and major hope, because Nigeria had produced strong African protagonists, great characters who were, remember Zik was called Zik of Africa, and then Awo was looked up, people looked up to Awo as a beautiful ideologue. So they believed that the country of these great characters was going to come great. 1960, we had a republic, we had a constitution, an independent constitution that allowed for devolution of power, true fiscal federalism, resource controls, and the likes. And then 1963, we had a Republican constitution that deepened on the frontiers of resource control, devolution of power, and true fiscal federalism. And then interestingly, our country was beautiful.
So?
Then, unfortunately, on the 15th of January, some young thugs thought it was time to do what was happening around the world in the Asian sector, and then a few of African countries where coups were beginning to get into, was becoming a fad. And Nzogwu and co. truncated it. They were angry with corruption, according to them.
Yes, they had good reasons to do it.
Good reasons. I think I wouldn't say they had good reasons. I think they were passionate, they were emotional, they were, there's a difference between infatuation and love. They were actually infatuated. They thought that, oh, come on, take these people out and then put the country on a fantastic trajectory. But they didn't look at the major peculiarities with our nation, and that was where we got it all wrong. At the end of the day, the armed forces messed up, threw away our constitution and messed up our federalism. Ironsi came with Decree 34, which unified the federal civil service, and that was the beginning of several other military coups, several decrees, several constitutional amendments that ended up messing up everything that had to do with the normative or true federalism.
Because they threw away the constitution. I'll take a break. It's a good time to take a break. When I come back, you spoke about peculiarities that these young people didn't understand. Do we understand those peculiarities now? But I'll take a break, and when we return, we'll address the question of if we ourselves understand that those peculiarities, if we don't address them, we can never be together. I'll be right back.